Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So absolutely delighted to be up at the Golf Lab here, joined by Carson. Thanks for having us, pal.
No, thanks for coming up.
And our friendly
I'm back.
ambassador, Rocket Ronnie. Nice to see you.
Great to be here. Surreal to be here with you, my fitter and my coach.
Yeah, I mean, this is something we've wanted to do for a long time, isn't it?
Yes.
So we're going to do a few things today. Carson up here, this is the ultimate game improvement center. This is swing cat, gears, quad, TPI certified. Everything really, all under one roof where you can approach your game from really whatever angle you need in order to improve it.
Yeah, well, the hope is here that what we try to do is by putting you through physical body screens to see your physical capabilities, launch monitor, ground force, kinematics. We want to create a full feedback loop of your golf swing. So we want to tie everything together to see what causes what, where's your root cause of your issues, and where can we guide you to the best way of improvement.
Love it. I mean, something I've worked a lot in my swing over the last couple of years. It's steadily kind of moving in the right direction. I've kind of had spurts of trying to get a little bit faster, maybe bench that for a minute, trying to get a bit straighter, but really done it mostly off of the launch monitor stuff, right? So, this from a feedback environment is going to give me so much information. Swing cat I've never done before. I'm really excited about that. And you've been on me.
I have for 2 years.
Backhander.
Ground reaction forces.
Exactly. So this will be great. I've done gears before, but we're going to do it today. It's been a long time. So this is going to be great. Maybe talk us through the process today. What are we starting with?
Yeah, so we're going to start with a TPI body screen. Okay. So we're going to start from your body. We want to see what are your physical capabilities, where are the limitations of your golf swing. Yeah. Right? From there, we're going to get you to hit some balls on the launch monitor. We want to see what your current ball output is, how you deliver the club. From there, I'm going to take you into dominant leg testing. Right. So that's swing catalyst. We're going to figure out where's your power source. Yeah. Is it lead leg, trail leg, no leg dominance? Then we're going to take a look at you on swing catalyst. What forces do you use? What power source do you use? Are you using the right ones? Are you loading correctly into your trail leg for your dominant leg? Yeah. Right. So we want to make sure you're maximizing your forces as best as you can to move the club as quick as you can. Love it. And then the last thing, kinematic sequence. Yeah. Right. You want to make sure that you're loading and unloading properly. Are you being as efficient with your movements as possible?
Guys, it's a lot, and kind of the purpose of being here is to show you guys basically how you need to approach game improvement, right? We don't just tackle the clubs, we don't just tackle the swing, we don't just tackle the body. It has to be an approach that kind of tackles it from every angle if you're really trying to extract the most out of your game.
Right, I think that's the whole thing with this, is that you want to just figure out how everything works together. Yeah. Right, there's always one thing that causes a chain reaction of other things, so we just want to make sure that we find what your issues are, and we want to kind of tackle it from the root cause so that everything else will actually find out improve on its own.
Love it, love it. Okay.
And I've been a long-term member here, so I think one of the reasons you've invited me here is I've been through 5 of these baseline assessments. We do it every November and December. Get ready for the heavy lifting during the off season. So I'm going to be doing some commentary as Carson put you through the process. There's
not many good things to the Canadian winter, but part of what is good is exactly like you say, an off season, a chance to take stock of how did we do last year, what are we going to do for next year, and there's no one better at doing that than you. You continue to improve year on year because you have a plan with your work with Carson. Right. Every year I've known you, every year that you've contributed towards the channel, people have seen you get better and better and better. This is why, this environment is literally why you continue to improve. And guys, ultimately this is why we're here, because we think we can showcase a way which you guys can get better. You guys can maybe see why you've plateaued with your game. You hit that kind of glass ceiling because there's maybe a part of the whole picture that you're missing. So hopefully we can cover that today.
Yeah, we'll see if we can uncover something for you.
Okay, awesome. Right, let's get into the TPI.
All right, let's do it. All right, so Ian, we're going to put you through the TPI body screen.
Yep.
So the TPI body screen, if you haven't done it in a while, is just simple 16 body screens. So we're going to look at your physical limitations of your body. So we're going to put you through a couple of movement screens, a couple limitations, and just see how your body functions. Yeah. So we start to see if you are unable to do certain movements, I don't want to build a swing that trying to get you in a position that you can't physically do. Yeah. right? Or we can start to target where we need to work on our off-season training.
Super important, guys. I mean, I think everyone's been through lessons that maybe in the past have, you know, they've had a hard time holding on to those principles, onto those foundations. And a lot of the time it's this, you know, it's the body will kind of refuse to move in that pattern. And, you know, whether it's TPI or whether it's what we look at in the kinematics later on, there's kind of a reason why, and we're going to uncover that today. So I'm excited to see what this is because, you know, I think generally speaking, you know, my body functionality is okay, but I definitely have aches and pains and tightness and limitations, some restrictions in movement that probably cause me to do some of the things that I always fight in my golf swing. So, and guys, I think the same will be of yourselves, you know, so anytime you go through the pattern to, you know, learn a new swing pattern, this really has to be part of the process, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure. Like I think the whole thing, like even take Ron, for example, like we've had to alter Ron's setup multiple times with certain limitations that he had, whether it's flaring out his foot, getting in different positions at the top. It's all about working around what a player has to work with. First thing all I need you to do is just get into your normal 7-iron setup.
Okay.
And then can you just cross your hands across your shoulder? Perfect. So I'm just gonna take a look at your posture here. So you actually got a nice neutral posture, which is great. The next one is gonna be a pelvic tilt. So if you're gonna watch me, I'm gonna stand in front of you. You're gonna start from here and you're gonna start to try to arch your back as much as you can.
Yep.
A little shake and bake there. It's not
There
bad.
we go.
There you go. So a little bit of instability, but not bad. So we've got all the screens here on our app, so I can kind of in real time just kind of grade you on how you did.
Got it. So traffic light systems, that
Traffic
how it
light
goes.
system. So
Right.
green is pass.
Yeah.
Yellow is so-so.
Okay.
Red is fail. So we tend to see a lot of reds on our screen here,
Yeah.
which is not the worst thing in the world. It just means that there's some improvement to be had. But we're going to try to just focus on rotating our pelvis side to side.
Okay.
Now, one thing I want to watch before you start to get into this is when you watch your hips go back and forth, I don't want to see any side to side.
Yeah. Try and kind of keep central to it. Okay.
Okay, not bad. You got a little bit of side to side, but pretty good there. All right, next we're going to do torso rotation. So we're going to keep the hips stable now, and we're just going to see if we can do separation of the upper body now. Perfect. Excellent. Say it one more time. It's kind of interesting if you kind of watch your shoulders, and I'm going to be a little bit nitpicky here. And Ron's kind of looking at this and just like, yeah, he's separating well. You actually kind of have a pretty flat shoulder turn, right? Rather than kind of staying around your spine and rotating down your spine to get that shoulder down. Like I'm being pretty nitpicky with you, but like, you know, as an elite golfer, you kind of pick at everything.
For sure.
So if you're starting to come flat, that means you're starting to arch your back a little bit differently. So trying to get an idea of your golf swing. I've actually never seen you hit a golf ball except for your videos.
No, we've
so
known
it's
each
kind
other
of
for a lot of
interesting.
time, so we've never actually done this stuff.
Like technically, it's still a pass, but I'm watching like little things that I'm going to
Yeah.
start to kind of key in on, and we'll see in the kinematic sequence and stuff like that. But just being mindful of what's going on here.
Got it.
So overhead deep squats, the most failed on in TPI. So we're going to start with the club on your head, 90 degrees. Feet are going to be shoulder width apart. Feet are parallel with each other, so we don't no pigeon toe. I don't want to see any of this with the hands go forward. We got to keep our hands above the feet, and we're going to go all the way down, and then back up.
You made that look easy.
You know, it's the one thing I can do well. So.
I can definitely feel how much they want to go forward that way.
Okay.
I think the key point is, even if you're 20 years old, playing NCAA level 1, everyone has restrictions.
Yeah, like that's like the most failed screen in TPI. I think there's only like a 10% pass rate in North America. So we're gonna go with toe touch. So feet together, 2 hands together, and try to touch your toes. Easy.
Wow.
No problem. That was like, I'm gonna go palms down on the ground.
Yeah. So the old badminton background there used to be palms down, no problem.
Jeez. Okay, we're gonna do the 90-90 test. So arm's gonna be 90 degrees with your body, so you got 2 90-degree angles. What you're trying to do is rotate your forearm back as far as you can.
This one's I'm miserable at.
Okay, not bad. I'm gonna check out the left. Okay, so it's kind of fun, kind of watching you go through this, and as you try to rotate back, you kind of
go that way. Yeah, always for sure.
You're gonna raise one arm at a time, so it's in line with your shoulder, and then you're just gonna rotate back. And I'm just gonna get my elbow up to where you need. Good, and just rotate back for me. Good. So it's funny, you actually drop your elbow as you do it. There you go. That's good. You're in line with your spine there. Okay. Now, what's your like preferred shot shape you're trying to hit? Do you like prefer draw? Do you prefer cut? Is there something that?
So I've been working really hard and hitting a fade,
Okay.
because I've kind of, through bad swing mechanics, been kind of an early extender, flipper.
If your arm isn't able to get past your spine angle to to drop the club inside that way naturally, your body limitations aren't letting you do that. You're trying to do something that your body just can't do.
And,
Right?
and
Or you have to work very hard or artificially make it happen
Right.
to drop the club inside.
So those are manipulations, right?
100%.
Timing based. So I know you're keen on competing this year.
Yeah.
That timing stuff tends to break down when you're in 18th hole for the championship.
And I think what this is all about, doing this today, is I know I don't have all the time at my disposal to be a player who plays well based off timing, because I don't have the chance to play an awful lot.
Right.
So my mechanics have to be better.
Right.
Technically, I have to be better. My body needs to be functioning better if I'm going to turn up and play the way I want to play with limited amount of practice time.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
100%. So this is one, so single leg balance.
Okay.
So one leg on the ground, the other leg's gonna be 90 degrees to the ground.
Okay.
Now, find your center first, and you gotta close your eyes.
Oh,
so this
shoot.
is the fun part. As soon as you close your eyes, everyone starts to go all crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, that was great. All right, you made it 15 seconds. That's great.
That is impressive. PGA average is
12.
12 seconds?
Yeah.
I thought it was more than that. Okay.
Barely.
It was like right on 15.
Yeah.
It was like borderline between 15 and just passing. Like the balance is going to be key when we come to, like, a lot of people when it comes to balance, it's all about their consistency of contact.
Yeah.
Right? Especially when you start to look at pressure and forces, whether or not you know how to center your pressure and find where you need to be to generate the most force, or how to center yourself when you're swinging a club dynamically. Balance plays a big part in that. All right, lower quarter rotation. So we're gonna have 1 foot forward, and then we're gonna go hands on the hips. And you're gonna rotate both ways as far as you can, but both feet have to stay flat on the ground.
Okay.
So you'll start to see as you start to rotate to your right, your foot likes to go up, so we're just trying to keep that as flat as possible, and we're just gonna see how much you can rotate with your hips.
Okay.
Okay, good. Good. Now, Ron, do you see how much more he could rotate? You could rotate
That
to
way?
your right
Yeah.
with your left leg forward
Yeah.
versus when you had your right leg forward in. So like
Interesting. Yeah,
internal versus external rotation of the hip.
Yeah.
Like, so on your left foot forward, rotating to your right, so external rotation, you have a ton.
Yeah.
Because I want you to improve your body, I am going to fail you on a couple of them just so it gives you, so this program will kind of give you some more routines and more drills to actually improve that, to make it better, because you're right on the border, so I want you to be better, more flexibility into that rotation or hip rotation, so I'm just going to fail you anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
No, that's good.
So standing straight up, we're going to try to turn your head about almost 90 degrees on one side, and you're going to try to touch your chin to your collarbone.
Got it.
Okay, so just watch that you don't try to raise your shoulders. So we're going to turn and down. So it's funny, Ian, as Ron's kind of watching, he's like, you turn quite well, but you don't see you go.
The amount of stretch I get in, like, it's called pain, discomfort on the kind of back of the neck. As soon as I try and go down, that's where it really pulls on that. So like going that way is fine. When I go that way, it compresses something on either side. So there's definitely some kind of pain and
so that's
discomfort
interesting.
in there.
So now we talk about when you're doing your rotation, right? And we were seeing that you rotated and kind of got flat, right? If you can have that down, right? You can't really watch the ball as you try to turn and keep everything down. So you do want to come up.
Come up just to try and relieve it, yeah, no doubt about it. And the time when I have most pain was last year when I was working on the speed stuff. So the faster I get, the more I try and ask more of my body, the more it kind of basically says, don't do this.
Don't do
it's
it.
painful, yeah.
Anyone that comes here and says, I want more speed, I want more power, that test I'll fail you regardless. I don't care if you pass or not, because the more you can turn and into your neck, the more you can rotate.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're limited
I
at
can
all,
even see the way you do. Like you can do that a ton there.
Yeah, I've almost got too much rotation, funny enough. But yeah, like I've always been pretty flexible, kind of lucky that way in some sense. But when I turn, I can get down. Like I can almost go past my collarbone.
That's crazy.
To go down, so I get all that extra turn, right?
Mine looks like I'm turning that way, and I'm not putting my chin down. It's not that I'm not, I just can't.
Can I get your hands down by your side, kind of like ski pole? Yeah. Thumbs up. You're gonna rotate out. Excellent, and rotate in. Good. So you got a little bit of internal rotation there on that right hand. Can I just? You can almost look at it's a little bit shaky too, but. Good. Take a look here. Good. So it's funny, we kind of talk about like what the different wrist mechanics do. So up and down is typically speed. So as you can go up, the more you can load into that shaft, create the leg that everyone wants to see before you unload it. Rotation's face, and then this is typically loft. Right. So you start to see like if you're limited in certain things, like well, this is where you kind of cap your club control. So we can see that you probably have a lot, I'm going to assume a lot of lag in your swing.
Certainly capable of it, yeah. So what will be interesting to see is the kinematics that I think I lose out on some of the potential leverage that I can create through the sequence.
And last one, you're just going to have the hands out and you go back and then down. There you go, nice and easy there. You're going to lift your bum up off the ground so you're nice and flat. Excellent. And then you're just going to lift one leg up so that it's all one plank. And you're going to hold that for 10 seconds. Excellent. So what muscles do you feel work?
Hamstring and glute.
Hamstring and glute?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And you can come down and you can switch legs. So pretty good there. And I'm just going to ask you, can you just raise your bum just a little higher? Perfect. So pretty good on this side as well. It's just a little bit.
Yeah, a little unstable.
Pretty good. And what muscles do you feel on this side? It's kind of the same thing?
Hamstring mostly, less glute. I felt more glute left side than right side.
Okay, interesting. I'm going to slide the stick through the small of your back here. And I'm going to ask you to pinch it by pelvic thrust. Okay. Perfect. Keep that against the wall. Excellent. From here, thumbs up, arms across your side. You're going to try to go straight up in a straight line and try to touch the wall. And don't drop that stick. Good, can we get all the way? Okay, not bad. So like really good job with activating and holding the stick here. You just got to your limitation of what you could do in terms of raising your arms.
Getting stuck. Yeah, I definitely got to kind of here, and it was like, it starts to really squeeze the last part of it. Okay, handicap time.
All right, handicap time. So I'll say this, so I'll give you a benefit of the doubt. Ever since we switched to the app now, the TPI switching to the app, they have been a lot more mean with their handicaps. I thought they used to be a little generous with it, but now they've gone to the extreme, the other way. Because I would say you only failed one screen, and you had a couple of yellow lights there, where I kind of fail you just to help you improve as a golfer, right? Where I could have easily passed you as well, but it gave you a handicap of 20.
20.
Ronnie.
20.
Ian.
I'm only 38 and I'm a 20 handicap from the body.
I should pull up Ron's to see what Ron was.
3.
Actually, I think Ron did about there.
I think it was 22, 23.
Yeah, it was close.
But like you say, because you know where we're trying to kind of gain, you're going, okay, I know you've got more in the tank there. So it may have been a pass, like you say, but we're going to work on more range of motion, or more output.
I personally like to be a little bit more tough on the screens.
Definitely.
I'd rather fail you to give you some more exercise so you can be better and get past that. Like if you're a bubble person, I don't want you to be a bubble person. I want you to be able to easily, like when you touch the ground, I saw you could easily almost put your hand down. I want you to be able to do that with every screen.
Love it.
So what I loved was Carson translating any deficiencies into potential swing faults or challenges. This whole integration, right?
Starting to think about it already. Okay, so are we seeing this in your swing? What shot shape do you like? All that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Everything that we do from this screen helps me think about like what should your swing look like to be as most efficient as with your body as you can. Right. Now, knowing that you're going to work on your body as okay, well, here are the yellow lights I think you're going to get a little bit better at, so we can start to think about where's the swing going to go and where's your swing going to be now.
Love it.
Right.
Very cool.
So step 1 done. Step 2 is
Step
we're
one,
off to
yeah.
hit some balls.
Yeah, so back into, you know, where we're a little bit more familiar on the number side of
Right.
things, so we'll take a look at some of that.
Yeah, so we're just gonna get you to hit your pitch and wedge, 7-iron driver. We're gonna hit 10 shots with each.
Okay.
We're gonna throw out the best shot and the worst shot from each set of 10.
Yeah.
And just look at like what kind of output you're getting, what's your averages. And we'll see what we can do from there.
Very cool.
All right, let's go.
So Ian, you don't like full wedge swings, do you?
No, I'm like
So are you hitting like at 10:30 or 9:30? How far are you taking it back?
So probably my backswing looks a little shorter right now because of that. So I'm used to probably having the club a bit more there.
Okay.
Right now I'm shorter because what I'm working on through my lead wrist, Ronnie.
You gotta love twist face. Just bring it back.
People think that stuff doesn't work. I mean, it's improved my driving a heck of a lot. When I miss it, because I play driver a little open, and with twist face, it makes a massive difference.
Yeah,
for me.
no, I totally agree. Like the twist face, and like I know a couple of companies have brought that into play as well.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's made a huge difference on those misses.
definitely.
Awesome. So we're gonna get into the dominant leg testing now.
Okay.
Okay. So after the dominant leg testing, we'll start to talk about your launch monitor data and and all the ground force. But we kind of need this data as well so we can tie it all together.
Love it.
Okay. So we're gonna start off with 3 different positions of how you're gonna hit a golf ball.
Okay.
The first one you're gonna do is you're gonna take your club. You're gonna start with your feet close together. You're gonna have it about 1 inch apart at maximum.
Okay.
Okay, so find what you like to be comfortable with, and you're gonna hit 5 balls as hard as you can with your 7-iron, with your feet nice and close together.
Okay.
And that's gonna be position 1.
So this is step 3 of the baseline assessment.
This is step 3
What
of the
is
baseline.
Ian's major source of power? Vertical, horizontal, or torque?
Jeez, it goes as far with the feet together as it does with the feet apart. Carson, what's going on?
Looks like you've done that one before.
Not for a long time,
Not
but
for
it
a long
actually
time.
felt way more comfortable than I thought it would. Okay, so
So now we're gonna go with the left leg forward, so the lead
left
leg.
forward, okay. That feels harder for sure.
Okay, so we're gonna switch to the right leg now. So the right leg forward. Now, does that feel easier to you, or
Yeah, it does feel
better?
it feels a little bit easier. Felt like I was having to exert so much more force the other way. This feels like it's a little more comfortable for sure. I lost my balance in the first one, but that last one felt way easier.
Nice. What do you think, Ron?
What do I think?
Yeah, what's your
So I
best guess?
didn't see any of the numbers. I'm just judging based on visual and your commentary. He's in between. He's been in between feet together. I would vector more to feet together, which is torque, and a little bit towards the trail side, which is horizontal force. That's where my bet is. How do I
That's pretty
do?
good. You know what? I'll tell you the answer when we get there.
Okay, but that's just based on
I
visual.
was just curious what you thought, because
Okay.
Ronnie here is Swing Cat level 2.
Yep.
Brought him in with me during that certification, so it's always nice to hear his thoughts.
Okay, I can't wait. Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned for the answer.
Okay, so how was that? That was, I mean, from my perspective, a challenge for sure. Different leg orientations. Hitting a couple of squirrely ones, and you kind of have to regroup a little bit. On the quad test, Yeah, it was a fascinating thing to do. I haven't honestly done that under that microscope in a long time.
Yeah, I know it's always different to have eyes on you while
Very
you're
different.
being assessed and hitting balls. I'm just watching, try to stay silent back here and just kind of watch and try not to get into your head. But kind of as you kind of walk through it, yeah, you'll hit a squirrely one. Like, you know what, I want to see those.
Yeah.
Because those are the ones that I really kind of dive into to say, hey, what happened on that one?
Yeah.
Right, which is why I kind of jumped in. Hey, what's your miss? Is that it? Because if that's it, that's great. Because I want to see that.
For sure, it was great. I mean, there was a few ones there that I recognised. There was some patterns in the delivery that I recognised from the golf course, and less of maybe the bay when I'm kind of watching the numbers, reacting to the numbers. It felt maybe more of a real life experience from that perspective. Like, I feel like at times if I see my angle of attack shallowing out, if I see my path scooting right, I pretty quickly can fix that like that. The golf course, doesn't give you those metrics.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, it's always great to get into that environment of you're gonna hit multiple shots and see like what did the bad one do, what are your good ones, what's your average. I don't know if you've used much of FSX Pro now that they've kind of switched over. I know it's a lot more intricate and what you can do with it, but I love how you can kind of pick the metrics that you're looking for and get the standard deviations and kind of pick and choose and be a little more detailed.
Yeah.
Right. But we're gonna go through the actual analysis now of your shots. So what I've done is I've kind of thrown out the Donald Lake testing, and I'm only gonna look at your pitch to wedge, 7-iron, and driver statistics. I threw out the best and worst shot from each set. So best shot's gonna be the furthest and straightest. The worst shot's gonna be the shortest or most crooked. So we threw those out, and we're gonna get your average set from each one. And we'll just go straight into a report. So yeah, you got a ton of speed. Like, you're great with your pitch. I'm gonna go down to like the detailed one with all different shots. Like, you can see with your pitch that you're super consistent, right? That shorter club, I think you didn't have an issue with either contact. Your spin's very consistent. Your launch is very consistent. Launch direction very consistent. So with that shorter club, really there wasn't really anything going on that was, I'd say, I would worry about. As we get to the longer club, this is where we'll start to see kind of, I'll call them like little flaws start to kind of pop up, right? So as I get into your 7-iron, we started to see those kind of like misses out to the right, right? And when we start to see that, I kind of look at, well, for a ball to start right, one or two things have to happen. It's either got to be a lie angle that's going to be super toe down, a face that's super open, right? Or kind of the big two, right? Maybe a heel strike. But when we start to see it very consistently out to the right, it's typically going to be your face or your lie that's kind of really pushing it out that way. Because we want to make sure that your face to path work together, right? So we know you're trying to hit it right to left, so we know we want that path to be positive. And you're averaging 4.5 degrees in to out with a 7-iron, which, like, in my perspective, with a lot of amateur golfers, I don't mind that 4 to 5. I say the more skilled you are, right, the lower that club path can be, because then that's the tighter that your face control will be, right? So the tighter your face control, the tighter the path, you can control that ball a little bit better. So I don't mind your path being at 4.5, especially if you've been talking about, I tend to get a little handsy, and so that means you're handsy, that means you got a lot of timing aspects, it means your face control is going to kind of vary a little bit more than we like to see, right? So when we look at those standard deviations of face control, so I'll use face to target because that's a hard definition of where it is, right? Your face to target tended to be 5.5 degrees open to your 4.5 path. So that's typically, that means ball starts right and stays right or goes a little bit more right. But when we look at standard deviation of that, that was actually 2.1, right? So when you have a face to path of 5.5 and a standard deviation of 2, that means your face on 66% of your shots lived anywhere between 7.5 open and 3.5 open. Those 3.5 ones are great. Those are the good shots, right? But if the majority or almost 2/3 of your shots going to be straight right or fading right, that's where the issue comes in. So a lot of that is like, even if your standard deviation stays at 2, with your path at 4, that means I want your average to be 1.5, so at least, or 2. So at least you'll kind of start it in the middle or kind of push it. So I would say, like, even at that means your path has to get bigger.
Right.
Right. If you're not gonna change how you release the golf club to stabilize the face.
Yeah, and that maps to everything I'm working on in my golf swing. Everything, you know, from where those wrist angles need to be in order to sort of get the club to fall behind me, which allows me to rotate, push the handle down. I mean, right now, I've actually flattened my clubs 2 degrees because I was getting so toe up.
Okay.
And like you'll see it today, it's probably 5-6 toe down.
Yeah.
Right. So when I'm in the bay rehearsing this, getting, you know, that happening, and I'm rotating, the toe is moving way up, and I could see it on the quad as I was going along, toe down, toe down, toe down, which isn't a normal. Well, I say it's not a practice pattern; it's an on-course pattern.
Right.
Right.
So
Which is good.
It's almost like the old swing versus new swing.
This was much more the old swing coming out today for sure.
Yeah, I think it's funny as we talk about like motor pattern building, right? To build that motor pattern, how we kind of get through, we typically start at like chunking drills and slow motion to build the reps of teaching your body how to move. Because we tend to see like as you start to go, like if this is a new motor pattern for you, jumping into something full speed, being tested, you're going at full speed now, right? If it's not a learned motor pattern yet, which typically is going to take you thousands of reps before it does become a built-in motor pattern, you're going to go back to your old swing. And we start to see that today, and that's kind of interesting that you say that. Is you're used to seeing, and you had to flatten your clubs. And today we started to see your lie get down to the like 5 degrees toe down, 4.7.
That's the one I picked up.
Right.
I was surprised about the -5 toe down.
And that's I mean, you know, look back in the videos, that's historically where it is with the irons. It's kind of a bit of a, I guess, a band-aid against the hook.
The hook,
historically has been just to kind of pull that handle up. But, you know, I've been getting a lot better at it, but just shows how uncomfortable I still am when I do it at full speed. You know, if I'm hitting 7 iron 150 yards, you know, it's very easy you feel like you've got lots of time to shallow and rotate, handle down. You know, it doesn't feel like you've got that, especially today. The one thing in transition, I felt like I had no time today in transition. Lots of that, you know, and less of.
Yeah, I do find that when you start to play around with wrist mechanics, it is the hardest thing for a lot of golfers to change. Right, we try to stay away from the wrist mechanics as much as we can, unless we have to, or until it's time for that. Right, we tend to find for a lot of golfers to find more consistency when they start with ground force, right? Because changing pressure and changing forces tends to be a lot easier for a golfer than the fine motor patterns and fine muscles movements of the wrist.
Definitely.
Right, so I don't know, we'll start to see like if there's some opportunity for you with your ground force, and maybe we'll start to see like as you create more force or more rotation with your ground, like it starts to actually shallow it for you.
Yeah, it'd be great to see that something that could come in and complement, you know, some of that, because it feels like right now there's a lot of pressure on kind of that wrist movement. And it, you know, when I see it in camera, like it doesn't, even when I feel like I'm extreme moving it that way, it's really not. I mean, I'm kind of getting a fairly flat to slightly bowed, but certainly not the way I'm looking to get it.
Yeah, well, you also kind of think about this is when you were doing the testing of pronation, supination, you don't actually have a ton of rotation in.
Exactly.
Right, so you gotta watch how much you do with that, because you don't actually have a ton.
I think that's why when I try and do it, you know, for me it's a real struggle to get it there. So, you know, even if you see in my practice routine, one of my things is to really rotate and kind of, you know, load up that lead arm so that I can kind of get a little bit more that way. So it's not just all on the wrist, it's a little bit on the arm as well.
The driver.
Yeah, driver was fairly well behaved today. There was one that snuck a little right, I can see. But it kind of like, and I didn't hit them, I would say I maybe hit 6 good ones, 4 that I didn't really like, but it was all pretty playable apart from one that definitely went out to the right.
Yeah, I think you just had the one where the face just stayed a little bit open, but everything else was kind of starting out to the right, working its way back in. So like for the most part, I'll say pretty good at the driver, right? I think a lot of good things coming out of it. Like definitely love the launch angle coming out at 15 and spinning at 25. That's a nice stable spin rate for most, right? I'd say like depends like distance versus control. There's always that balance between like what are you looking for?
Standard deviation was maybe a little wide on it for my liking. I mean, I saw the 2 last ones kind of dropped to around the 2000s. There was a couple I caught thin that were more like low 3s.
Yeah, you tend to see that. Like that's where like it's funny. Like the faster you swing the golf club, the more the off-center strikes are going to really affect your spin rates and distance. Right. So like when I see those jump speeds, not it's a terrible thing because your average is in a really good spot, But the ones that are spinning really high, there's only one or two, and you look at the contact, they're just thin, right? That's gonna happen, right? And then same thing with the high strikes that spin really low, and those things are like missiles that just fly forever. Sometimes you kind of like, you honestly kind of like it. You're like, I know I missed it, but you just watch it fly. You're like, okay, that's gone.
Definitely.
Right? But I think that's why you're being in that 25 spin rate range average is kind of nice, because if you do miss it high and it doesn't duck hook on you and lose your ball, at least it's still stable enough that it still flies straight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to kind of, with the driver right now, kind of, in all clubs, in actual fact, add some loft back onto them. Yeah, I've kind of used loft as a little bit of a crutch in that kind of keeping the loft down, which I think over time has compromised a little impact position. So playing that sim driver at 8, turning it down to 6 to allow too much of that. I've went back to a 9, playing at 8.25 in order to try and sort of see if I can kind of get into a slightly better impact position. I
think that's kind of where you start to look at your driver swing versus iron swing. We start to see those kind of clubs kind of get a little extra dynamic loft added to it in those 7 irons. So like you've started to work again with a higher lofted driver and keep it down will help prevent you from bleeding that into your irons play. Yeah. Because I think I was the same way. I went from an 8-degree driver, turned down to 7 and launched it at 16 with like a positive 9 angle attack, because I just started to just throw my hands at it and launch it. But then I started to see this terrible ball flight with my irons. Yeah. Right, so traditional thing is the lower lofted driver, less spin, more ball speed, all great things, until you start to realize what you're doing to your golf swing and just ruin the golf swing. So now I've gone the opposite way, where I'm using a 10.5-degree driver and just keeping everything kind of forward and pressed through, and just a lot more consistency, right? So the scores can stay nice and tight versus the 10-stroke difference between when I hit my driver in play and not in play.
Definitely. And I think that's where, this conversation today is about what's the best thing for your game, right? So, we have players come to see us and we're seeing one part of their game, their golf equipment. And we're going to give them the best equipment, but, you work with our fitters all the time on training. How important is it for those fitters to get an idea of what that player's trying to do outside of the fitting bay with a coach? Whether it's training, you've got to know what's going on. Yeah. You got to be informed.
In fact, your fitters have referred some of your clients to Michelle.
A lot.
Some of your fitters say, you know what, come back another day. You've got some hip mobility issues. Get some work done and then come back and we'll get you in the right equipment.
Definitely.
I'm going to put up this avatar in front of you. So you see that avatar there? Yep. Can you stand just like him? So feet shoulder width apart, hands down. Can you just face dead straight? Because otherwise your head's going to be on crooked. Excellent. So now you can move around.
Love it.
So that's you. Looking good.